Hi everyone, thank you so much for checking out this video. If you're new here, my name is Stephanie and I cover oily skin, hooded eyes, and beauty. So welcome back to my eye primer wars. Today's episode 5, and if you're watching this in the future, I will link all the videos down below for you. So I will be testing out 10 drugstore eye primers for your hooded eyes, and for each of these primers, I do want to test to see how well they work when set with a setting powder, and then I want to see how well they work without being set. So let's go ahead and get into eye primer number 5, and that's going to be the NYX HD Studio Photogenic Eye Primer. So this claims to be a lightweight eyeshadow primer that makes skin appear smoother and more even and ensures lasting makeup with less creasing. I tested this eye primer for 2 days and day 1 is my first impression, so let's roll the tape. Today's day 1 and I have nothing on my eyelid, so let's go ahead and get into the eye primer. Smell test. It just smells like chemicals. Here's what the primer is looking like. The applicator is a doe foot, and I do see that this is giving just a little bit of a tint. Ooh, this feels really silky smooth and very lightweight. I'm only going to be putting this on the right eye because I do want a side-by-side comparison on how well this eye primer works. I am going to let this sit and dry down for a little bit because it does feel very wet. Okay, so the primer has dried down pretty nicely. This is what it's looking like side by side. Let's go ahead and set this. Now let's go ahead and get into the eyeshadow. I'm just patting a very neutral color all over the lid. So far, this is looking pretty good. Now, of course, for my favorite part of the test, blending in the crease. All right, this is looking really good. No patching, no skipping, no tugging. This is looking really good. Now we're gonna deepen up the outer third. Looking just a bit patchy. Let me try blending it out some more. Okay, so it took just a little too long to smooth that patchiness out, but I feel like I got it to look pretty nice now. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of my makeup and I'll be right back. Alrighty guys, now that I am done with the rest of my makeup, let's go and take a look at both of my eyes. Let's go ahead and start with the non-prime side. I don't like it. It just did not blend out well. It is a little bit patchy and I'm going out today, so I'm a little bit sad that I'm gonna be looking like this, but oh well. Now the prime side. So it looks great now that I spent so much time blending it out, but it looks a lot better now. As far as vibrancy goes, I do think that both sides look the exact same. I just feel like the prime side looks just a little bit smoother after all of that work. But let's go ahead and do a close-up so that way you guys can see what I'm talking about. So here's the non-prime side. You can see that I have some harsh lines. I wasn't really able to smooth anything out. And here's the prime side. It is definitely looking so much better after all of that blending. It's been 10 hours, so let's go and take a look at my eyes. Let's go ahead and get started with the non-prime side. So there's pretty much no more eyeshadow left on my eyelid except for pretty much the crease, and there are mascara marks, so it's not looking too pretty. Now the prime side, I'm actually really shocked because it looks so good. I had a little bit of a struggle with it this morning, just trying to get everything blended like really nice and smoothly. So I didn't know what to expect when it came to the end of day, but it actually looks so good. There's no creasing, there's no transfer. There is just a little bit of fading, and I do have just a little bit of mascara marks, but it actually looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and do a close-up so that way you guys can see. Here's the non-prime side looking as horrible as ever. And here's the prime side looking pretty good, just a little bit faded, but otherwise really nice. Today's day 2 and I have nothing on my eyelid, so let's go ahead and give this primer a try again. I will be only using the primer and no translucent setting powder. I'm only putting it on the right eye so that way I can do a side-by-side comparison on how well this primer works. Now that this is dried down, I'm gonna go ahead and get into the eyeshadow. Okay, so that is looking very vibrant and it went on beautifully, but let's go ahead and get into the real test, blending out the crease. So this is looking just a bit patchy. I feel like the eyeshadow is really just wanting to stick to this primer, so it's a little bit hard to blend. Okay, so I did have to add just a bit more eyeshadow to kind of even things out. This is not how dark I wanted this to be. I wanted it to be just a very light shadow, but this is what we're dealing with. So let's go ahead and deepen the outer third. Okay, so just like on day one, this did take just a little bit more blending than usual. It really just wanted to stick to the eyeshadow primer, but I think it's looking pretty good now. I do see that I have just a little bit of tug marks in the creases of my eye, but really that's about it. I do think that I did the best that I could with what I had. So let me go ahead and do the rest of my makeup and I'll be right back. Now that I'm done with the rest of my makeup, let's go and take a look at my eyes. So I'm not too crazy about how my primed eye looks. Like I said earlier, I see those tugging marks. Just getting up a little bit closer to my mirror as I was kind of finishing up the look, I still saw just some like patchiness. I wasn't really able to smooth any of the lines out. It kind of just stuck there to the eye primer. I think the only difference between the two eyes is the fact that this one, the primed side, is just a little bit more vibrant. But let me just go ahead and bring you guys up close. That way you guys can see what I am looking at. So here's the non-primed side. It's never really looking that great. I just feel like it's never vibrant and you can't really even see the eyeshadow that's on my actual eyelid. And here's the prime side. You can definitely see those tugging marks and you can see that the edges of everything is just not that smooth. It's been 10 hours, so let's take a look at my eyes. Let's go ahead and go over the non-prime side. So like always, my eyeshadow is completely gone from my actual eyelid. I do still have the eyeshadow on my outer third and like the creases of my eyelid. Now for the prime side, I'm actually pretty shocked because it looks still so good. I see that there has been just a bit of transfer like on the inner thirds, and really everything else is looking so good. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a close-up so that way you guys can see the difference between the two. So here's the non-prime side where the eyeshadow has completely come off of the actual eyelid. I do still have it on the outer third and the creases. And then here's the prime side. You can barely see the transfer from the inner thirds, but other than that, this is still looking so good. Okay, so really quickly, I just wanted to say that I know some of you guys are thinking that I'm being way too critical or just way too picky when it comes to these eye primers, and I totally get it. It's just sometimes these things don't really translate that well on camera, which is why I want to point out every little single thing, and I also do my close-ups just that way you guys can try to see what I'm seeing and make the best decision when it comes to purchasing these items. Now with that being said, let's go ahead and go over my overall thoughts with this primer. Okay, so I know that there are a few bumps in the road, but this eye primer really did a good job with making my eyeshadow just look so effortless and smooth. There's just a bit more blending than I'm used to, but honestly, the extra blending was worth it because my eyeshadow just looked so good. I do think that this eye primer does everything that it claims to do and more, because not only did I have zero creasing, but my eyeshadow looked so good and just so fresh at the end of the day. You couldn't really tell that I was wearing my eyeshadow for 10 hours. As always, I do prefer setting the eyeshadow primer. I just feel like with all of the trouble I was having with blending, setting the primer just made everything just a little bit more easier. Easy. I forgot proper English for a second. Now this primer is $7 and it's not the cheapest in this series, but I do think that it's worth the price and I do think that it's Hooded Eye approved. Now I do have a question for you guys. Are you willing to work just a little bit harder on your makeup, knowing that it's gonna look effortless at the end of your makeup application? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you like this video and this product, hit that thumbs up and subscribe for more content. Thanks.